Hello again, Steve here. I was back and forth again a little bit on YouTube comments with a guy about whether or not, in a legal sense, person is equal to man or man is equal to person. Now, because statutes, government rules, they always talk about a person shall, blah, 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 person, right? Never man, never woman that I have seen anyway. So, but the common presumption seems to be at least this guy seems to presume that it doesn't have to be said that it equals man, it just does. However, and I learn a thing or two often going through these things because it sort of causes me to get motivated to do a little bit of reading and looking around and so on. And so I just, anybody can do it. Just type into Google, do a Google search, Black's Law Dictionary or Bouviers or whatever these are. And some of them are old definitions, but nevertheless, look at them all, and I've never seen, although somebody could please point out to me where in a legal sense person is equal to man, or man is equal to person. I would be thrilled to see that because it would vindicate. I'd be forced to say, okay, I was wrong, and that's okay, because that's the way we learn, right? So what I did is I looked up legal sense. Okay, person. If you just type in, you get the Google definition. Okay, what is a person in a legal sense? It says an individual, comma, company, or other entity that has legal rights and is subject to obligations. So if something has legal rights and obligations, then it could be deemed to be a person, according to that definition. So, but if somebody didn't have any rights, let's say they had no paperwork or whatever, they just were sort of what's called stateless or whatever, then if they didn't have any rights or any obligations, then they could not be considered a person for a legal sense, I guess. Now I looked it up in Black's Law Dictionary, first edition, which is an old edition. There's lots of other editions, but everybody just picks theirs, whatever, right? It was the one that came up. I looked up person, and it's got several paragraphs, but the key one is the first sentence, I think. It says that, mind you, going back a ways, right? So they use the word man, more common to use human being today, but that's a tricky one because I don't think those are equal either. I don't know for sure yet. I haven't got that far. But it says, anyways, person, man considered according to the rank he holds in society. That's interesting, isn't it? The rank he holds in society. Now, we'll come back to that in a bit, but it goes on to talk about the persons are of two types, a natural person, artificial person. A natural person, it says, are such as the God with the capital letter G, the God of nature formed us. Okay, natural person are such as the God of nature formed us. Okay, artificial person are such as are created and devised by human laws, called corporations or body politic. So from that perspective, a birth certificate must be a corporation because it is created and devised by human laws, right? It wasn't created by some sort of god of nature, as far as I know. So artificial person would be that birth certificate, I guess, documentation, something like that. So the argument came out a little bit at one point that if there's a natural person that's created by God, that must be us, and therefore we must be a person. But I thought about this for a minute, and I thought, all this stuff we've created, right? Like the ranks we create, obviously the artificial person we create, it's artificial, right? And the natural person, even if you look at it, are such as the God of nature formed us. Well, if the operative in that sentence is a fiction, which is what God is, right? God is a fiction, right? It's a subjective creation that we've created. It's a concept that we've created. If we're going to say that a natural person is real, but it's created by a fiction, that doesn't make any sense. So when I read this, both artificial person and natural person are a fiction. So according to that. But that was just further on down the line. I think the key thing was man considered according to the rank he holds in society. And rank, to me, is similar to a status, right? If you have a status, if you're a driver, if you have the status of driver, it's kind of like a rank that you hold. I mean, rank is sort of like a caste, right, within an organization, where somebody is not allowed to drive. Now somebody's allowed to drive. It's like a higher rank on the driving scale, if you will. And you can even see it within a driver's license. You can have class 5, class 4, class 3, and so on and so on. Higher rank. So it'd be a different class, it'd be a different person then, right? Would be depending on the license category. So I just went back and forth a while, and this kind of came to me, this simple kind of equation, right? Person is obviously related to man, because it says a man, according to the rank he holds. So, but if the rank wasn't there, if there was no rank there, in that definition, if by that definition somebody did not have a rank in society whatsoever, then he'd be private. Maybe that's why in the military a private is called a private. He's got no rank. Maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. It is a rank in a way, I guess, but bottom of the barrel. Now, and he probably really had no rights, going back far enough, a private. And maybe he had he would have had obligations, I guess. It's whatever the dictates. Maybe not spelled out obligations, but just whatever the dictates of the masters were. But I came up with this simple equation, right? A simple way of looking at this. Like, if you look at a simple equation, that is an equation really. It's man plus rank equals person, right? If you look at any simple addition equation, right? 3 plus 4 equals 7. So we can obviously see that 3 is not equal to 7, nor is 4 equal to 7. It must be the two combined to equal 7. The same would go for the equation of man plus rank equals person. If there's no rank, or if there's no rank that can be proven, or no rank that is relevant to the issue at hand, or there was no rank held at the time of the accusation, or whatever, where the person was supposed to be obliged to do something, then there's no person in reference to that. I mean, you could say kind of like, if a guy has an airliner pilot's license, and he's driving down the road, and he's driving down the road, and he gets stopped by the cops or whatever, and they want to reference something to do with his pilot's license. Well, that is clearly a rank that he has. He's a man, the rank. So he's got a persona, a personhood of an airline pilot. But the point is, it's irrelevant, right, at that moment. It has nothing to do with the driving, because the rank he's holding there, possibly, is that of driver. So it would be man plus driver rank, whatever, equals person called driver. So this, I hope, dispels a lot of this confusion as to why is it that in a legal sense there's this quagmire. And one of the things that's interesting is that I have never seen, nor have I ever seen anybody in some of the staunchest, some of the people who fight back the hardest to say that no, person equals man, they don't provide any evidence. They don't provide any argument, as I just put forward here. They reference some other common dictionary or something like that, which, sure, fair enough. I mean, I refer to myself as a person in vernacular out in the street and whatever, or that person over there. I mean man or woman, yes. But we're talking about in a legal sense here. These word plays that bind us up in life very seriously. If we don't really give it some thought, we can get caught up in a whole bunch of nonsense that doesn't apply to us necessarily, right? Because person, from what I can see, is not equal to man, and by extension, it's not equal to woman, right? And that's an unfortunate thing that for the longest time we referred to man, and that meant everybody, right? A lot of the whole feminist movement got to thinking that man meant men. No, it doesn't mean men. It means men and women, right? So we use this in the vernacular. We use a substitute person, and that was a very handy one, I think, because it plays right into this whole fraud that goes on with illegal. In a legal sense, we're referred to as person, but they're not talking about a substitute for man or woman, or man. They're talking about some sort of a construct, a corporation, right? Because it's a corporation. It's an incorporation of man and rank. That's what when you incorporate something, it's like I have this and I'm going to incorporate this into it, right? Make it one body. So you've taken the man and the rank and you've incorporated into one body called the person. And this just flies by most of us. And I know it's flown by me, and I don't know if this is for sure, but this is what makes sense. This is where my reasoning leads me. And if anybody has anything else to add to this, please do. If you've ever seen anywhere that in, somewhat civilized regions of the world anyways, that man, just because he's alive, man or woman, just because man or woman is alive, they're obliged to do this or that. Because we know that if that's true, that is complete slavery, right? But it's tricksterism, right? It's a whole raft of very well educated people who are just trained in the as grammarians, as very skillful liars, because they have to know this. People who are educated in law, they have to know this. They have to know what a person is versus what a man is. It floors me that they wouldn't be educated in this. And if that's true, then they're very devious indeed to not be telling us this, because this is treachery, right? So, anyways, great chatting again. Hope this is helpful along the lines of improving the quality of our lives. Yes, whenever we can realize, we can open up the veil a little bit of what's going on. And words and our thoughts so much, direct our actions. If we're deterministic at all in terms of our decisions, being able to determine where we're going, if we go spouting a bunch of stuff that we haven't thought about, and meanwhile somebody over here wants us to fall into a pit based on our own ignorance, then it behooves us to open up that veil and realize what is actually going on and begin to ask questions. Begin to ask some really pointed questions, no matter who the people are who are putting their stuff upon us. Saying, you must do this. Oh, really? Based on what? What is your authority over me? And if it's just that you're saying it, well then let's just admit it here, that you're the master and I'm the slave. And I thought you guys signed, conventions and so on, that is taboo anymore. So let's get real here and let's start asking some serious questions, no matter who people are. So it's great sharing again. I'll share again soon. Bye-bye for now.